Here's the uncomfortable truth that opens Domain 2. Security that starts at deployment has already lost. By the time a model is serving traffic, every consequential decision has already been made. Where the data came from, who labeled it, what got memorized into the weights, and what nobody bothered to check. You can bolt a firewall in front of that model, and you should, but you cannot firewall away a poisoned dataset or a privacy violation that's already baked into the parameters. So in this episode, we stop thinking about the model as the thing we secure and start thinking about the lifecycle, every gate from data sourcing to retirement, because that's where the real control lives. By the end, you'll be able to put a named control at each gate, and you'll understand why provenance is the word that holds it all together. Let me tell you what you'll walk away with. By the end of this episode, you'll be able to do 3 things. Place a security control at each gate of the AI lifecycle. Explain what data security actually means for AI. Provenance, quality, labeling integrity, privacy, and minimization. And say plainly what secure by design means when the system is a model rather than an app. Welcome to Domain 2, which is the heaviest domain on the entire exam at 40%. This is the spine that the next 8 episodes hang from. So today, we're going to draw that spine, the life cycle and the data that flows through it. And remember the series thesis. SecAI Plus is a security architecture for AI exam wrapped in framework fluency. The life cycle is the architecture you're protecting. Don't memorize a checklist. Instead, learn to ask at every single gate, what could go wrong here and what control belongs here? So let's draw the chain once, because we're going to reuse it all domain long. It goes data sourcing, then data preparation, then training and tuning, then evaluation, then deployment, then monitoring, and finally retirement. Here's the key mental model. It's a chain, and the security property is end to end. The system is only as trustworthy as its weakest gate. A pristine model trained on unvetted data is not pristine. It just hasn't shown you the problem yet. Now let me walk a control onto each gate, because this is the heart of the episode. At sourcing, you know and record where your data comes from. You vet and authorize your sources, and you capture provenance. At preparation, you protect the integrity of cleaning and labeling. You defend the pipeline itself, and you sanitize and validate what comes in. At training and tuning, you treat the training environment, the code, and the resulting weights as sensitive assets. You control who can touch them, and you log every time someone does. At evaluation, you make this a real gate and not a formality. You test for quality, bias, safety, and robustness, and you refuse to promote a model that fails. An evaluation gate is a security control. At deployment, you apply least privilege, access control, careful input and output handling, and fail-closed defaults. And the deeper architecture, the gateways and secure RAG, is episode 10, so here we just name the gate. At monitoring, you watch for drift, abuse, anomalous queries, and data leakage in production, because you cannot secure what you do not observe. And at retirement, you decommission models, revoke access, and securely dispose of training data and weights, because a forgotten model endpoint is an unowned attack surface just waiting for someone to find it. To anchor this in a framework, NIST AI RMF's map function is understand the context and surface the risks, and that's the front of the life cycle. Its measure function is assess, test, and monitor, and that's evaluation and monitoring. ISO/IEC 42001 wraps the whole thing as a managed system with lifecycle objectives. We're not citing clause numbers, we're learning the shape. One thing worth flagging for the exam: when a scenario asks where a control belongs, anchor on the stage of the lifecycle, not on the tool. You want to reason like this. This risk shows up at data sourcing, so the control is provenance and source vetting, not buy product X. The exam consistently rewards lifecycle stage thinking, so train yourself to locate the gate first. Now let's talk about data security for AI directly, because here's the thing. The model is a compression of its data. That means data security is model security. They are not 2 separate problems. There are 5 properties you have to protect. First, provenance. Where did every dataset come from, and can you actually prove it? I'll define that one precisely in a moment. Second, quality. Is the data accurate, representative, and complete? Because garbage in doesn't just become garbage out, it becomes confidently wrong out, which is far more dangerous. Third, labeling integrity. Your labels are an attack surface. Corrupted or malicious labels silently steer the model in directions nobody chose, so the control is trusted labelers, review, and consensus or audit on the labels themselves. Fourth, privacy. Training data often contains personal or regulated information, and models can memorize and regurgitate it word for word. The controls there are de-identification, access control on the datasets, and privacy review before training ever starts, because you cannot untrain a leak. And fifth, minimization. Collect and retain only the data you actually need. Data you never ingested can't be poisoned, can't be leaked, and can't be subpoenaed. Minimization is a security control, not just a privacy nicety. A simple way to make this concrete is a one-row data card for each dataset. Its source, license, collection date, owner, sensitivity, and a checksum. And the lesson is that the empty fields on that card are exactly where the risk is hiding. So what is data provenance? It's the documented, verifiable record of where your data came from and everything that happened to it along the way. Its origin, its chain of custody, and every transformation applied before it reached your model. If you can't trace a dataset back to a trusted source, you can't trust the model you trained on it. Full stop. Let's bring this home with Secure by Design. For an AI system, Secure by Design means the security decisions get made at the front of the lifecycle, as defaults, instead of being retrofitted at deployment when it's already too late. There are 3 moves that make it real. First, threat model the data and the pipeline before the model even exists. That's NIST AI RMF's MAP function in practice. Second, make evaluation a gate with a veto. Quality, bias, robustness, and safety checks that can actually block a release, which is measure, and you pair every lifecycle risk with this control. Third, carry provenance forward. The provenance you recorded back at sourcing should still be queryable at monitoring and at retirement, because a control is only as good as its durability across the whole chain. And remember the series rule. We pair attacks with defenses. The train time attack of poisoning is episode 8. The lifecycle defenses, the provenance, source vetting, labeling integrity, and eval gates live right here. We're building the wall today, and we'll watch people attack it next. Tie it back to the thesis. This is the architecture lens. You're not securing a magic box. You're securing a supply chain of data and decisions, with a named control at every gate and a framework standing behind each one. One more for the exam, and this one trips people up. Know the difference between data quality and data provenance. Quality asks, is the data accurate and representative? Provenance asks, can you prove where it came from and what happened to it? They sound similar, and the exam will lean on that distinction, so hold on to it this way. Quality is about the data's content, and provenance is about its chain of custody. Let me leave you with 3 takeaways. 1. Secure the lifecycle, not just the model. A named control at every gate, from data sourcing all the way to retirement. 2. Data security is model security. Provenance, quality, labeling integrity, privacy, and minimization are where the real risk lives. 3. Secure by design means those decisions are defaults made at the front, with evaluation as a gate that can say no. Next up is episode 5, Adversarial Machine Learning, where attackers stop respecting your lifecycle and start probing the model directly. If this helped, subscribe and drop a question in the comments. That's the architecture lens. I'll see you in the next one.